enjoy good water to drink and fishes to eat.
And I want to commend you highly for the demonstration of high level of professionalism.
This afternoon, I came to visit the troops in the field and deliver a special mission accomplishment message for the efforts they have made so far in dealing with this menace of illegal mining, particularly on the water bodies. And I am highly satisfied with what they have been able to achieve for the past 3 days, having cleared the River Pra all the way from the estuary up to Chifu Praso. The Ghana Armed Forces is ever ready, ever prepared to defend the territorial integrity of the nation.
You would recall that at the end of the first exercise, no, please keep playing. At the end of the first exercise, the ministers announced that there will be armed air patrols and advised all persons to desist from going onto the water bodies to mine. The air patrols, the armed air patrols have started. And I think that advice will be reiterated. It will not be in your interest to go back on the water bodies to mine. Colleagues, I want to invite the Honorable Minister responsible for Defense to join us with an update on how that second phase has concluded and the results therefrom. Honorable Minister, good afternoon and welcome.
Kojo, thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you to the people of Ghana, and good afternoon. Like I said before, I'm happy and elated to be back. I see the two deputy ministers in waiting. This isn't it. All right, that's fine. Well, I hope Parliament will do us a favor and bring you started the work. Congratulations in advance. The Chief of Defense Staff and the generals who have been here all along, helping us to ensure that our water bodies are clean. If you recall, the first phase of the Operation Hall 2 began on the 28th of last month, and which was April, and ended on 31st of April. And I gave you the breakdown on some of the items that were seized and destroyed. We, as I said before, we don't intend to bring any equipment home. If any equipment will be seized, it's just for the purposes of prosecution. Otherwise, all equipment will be destroyed on site. 100 meters to the river bodies on both flanks, and within the river body, every equipment will be destroyed. That is the order the armed forces have, and they'll continue to do that. I'm here again to give you an update on what has happened, because the armed forces undertook a second operation last Friday, Saturday, and ended on Sunday. And it's my privilege and my duty to brief the country on what transpired within those 3 days. So the phase 2 of the operation was conducted on the asteroid rivers Pra, as well as the tributary of Pra, which is the river Ofin. So from Chufupraso, they took to the left. If you were to look at Ghana map facing the north, they took to the left and did the part of the river Pra that was not concluded and continued on river Ofin towards Daboasi and ended at Daboasi, which is the junction between river Oda and river Pra, if my geography serves me right. But if you know the map of Ghana, where you begin from River Bia and Cobra, River Pra, Densu, and finally end at the place, most of the rivers to the west of Accra are totally destroyed. And as the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources said, it is in our interest as a country to restore these waters back to the original form in which we made them, this generation. Because if our forefathers did what we are currently doing, we would not have met the fish in the river, we would not have seen even the gold to even attempt to take it. They saw money, they knew money, but they felt that leaving water for people to drink and having a livelihood is more important than digging the river bodies to find gold and diamond and whatever. So the operation commenced at 07 hours, that's 7 a.m. on Friday the 7th of May. And troops were drawn from 2 BN, 5 BN, Air Force, and 64. So troops in Takoradi, troops from Accra and the Air Force, and of course 64 were all drawn, and then Kumasi came to join up to support the operations. And of course, let me also say the Services Brigade also helped clear the river bodies along the 100-meter stretch on both sides of the river and within the river. I want to first congratulate the troops to have traveled over 100 kilometers in the last episode, because they did over 100-kilometer stretch with virtually no roads, very difficult terrain. It's no easy job. They had to go into difficult muddy waters. They could easily have gotten drawn, and NANMO was gracious enough to also assist us with all of them with these life-saving jackets, and they had to tie them ropes around their neck, their waist, to ensure that nobody could get drawn, because you will see a flat plane and you think that it's normal, but when you step in, you are sinking into the mud, and anybody could have died. That's how bad the situation is. And I wonder how many of our young people are dying as a result of what the trucks and the bad nature that these people have left. So I want to first congratulate the troops on behalf of the people of Ghana and thank them sincerely for what they have done, the sacrifices that they have done. We applaud you, and we want you to continue to sacrifice for us and do what you have been tasked to do. We have seen your job, we have seen what you have done, and we are very, very grateful. So the River Pra in Ofin, in Chufupraso, Dunkwa, and then Damunasi, Damboasi general areas were the areas that the troops did the work. As I said, it covered over 120 kilometers along the river bodies up to Daboasi. But the team composed of course, the Navy and the 48th Regiment conducted the riverine operation on the river itself. Those that were participating were Ghana Army, 280 men, Ghana Navy, 80 all ranks, and the Ghana Air Force, 40 all ranks. So in all, we had a total of 400 all ranks, commanded by their respective COs, commanding officers of the various garrisons that I'm talking about, which is the 2BN, 5BN Air Force. And of course, the GOC was the one overseeing the entire operation. The general officer commanding the Southern Command, General EC, was the one overseeing the whole operation. Unfortunately for the people of Ghana, as the operation commenced, we realized, even from the reconnaissance, which is a record, that the situation was even worse than the first phase. The devastation was worse off than the first phase. Absolutely terrible. And it looks like the third phase will even be worse off than the second phase, because the record tells us that the devastation is even more terrible than the second phase. So from the first part to Chufupraso was even better off than Chufupraso to the Boase. It was terrible, totally destroyed. The river silted, too many champagnes. But at the end of the day, within the specified areas, the armed forces destroyed 28 excavators. 28 excavators were destroyed. The last time it was 9, but this time 28 excavators were destroyed. It's clear to me that people are not listening. In fact, they don't care. So 28 excavators were destroyed. 267 champagne machines with platforms were destroyed. I'm sure there's still pictures and some of the videos will show you what it is. A champagne is a floating vessel or floating platform where they sink some pipes under and scoop the sand and wash the sand in the middle of the river with chemicals. If you have a river where you have over 300 of such washed every minute for 24 hours, you can imagine the devastation that this will cause to the people of Ghana. So you have this floating platform they have created. They buy the motor from wherever they buy outside Ghana, and they build it in Ghana here. So they put the drums, they build it in Ghana here, and they float security, which are the soldiers, realized that a truck had brought in pumping machines, brand new pumping machines. 21 of them fully loaded on a Kia Bongo truck with registration number AS505321. Registered, brand new car that has been registered in 2021, carrying 21 registered in 2021 to go and pump up the water and destroy and do champagne machines. So that was seized, that was seized and brought down. But that would also be destroyed. 2 pump action guns.
Topics, and we are
judgment of the military at that time, if they were to destroy that excavator at that particular site, the collateral damage to the surrounding will be huge. So they demobilize it, but they'll go back and make sure that that excavator is also destroyed. That is the order they have been given. So no prisoners will be taken back home. Everybody is going to go down. So no machine is going to come home. When I say everybody is going to go down, I'm using to just paraphrase what we call the machines that are there, not the human beings. 2 excavators were also immobilized, as I've said, within the yellow zone. The yellow zone are areas about or further than the 100 meters, maybe 100 to 200 meters or 500 meters, because the security have realized that people are working in the night. And immediately they realize they are coming. Then they'll drag their machine 500 meters away. But you can see that this is a truck, fresh truck. And then they'll take the machine off. You can see clearly. But because we said 100 meters, then what they have done so far is not to destroy them, but to immobilize those machines. And then we'll take an action with the advice of the minister responsible for the lands and natural resources, which will give to the military as to go. But so that's what they are doing. They have not destroyed any equipment outside the 100 meters radius. What they have done and what they keep to do is that they know that you were mining. They can see the pit. They can see the machine. And they see that you have just taken the machine off, maybe outside that zone, but they did not destroy them. They immobilized them so that we can take action beginning from there. There was no arrest made because most illegal miners took to their heels. The moment they see the military, they took to their heels. But the military decided that at this phase, they will not be shooting anybody. So they ran off, and so they couldn't get people to arrest. And for even the safety of the troops themselves, they decided that if somebody is running into the forest, into the bush, you don't know where he's carrying, you don't know what he's doing, the only thing you could have done was to have shot him. But they decided that no, this is not the time to do that. Maybe in future it may happen, I don't know. But for now, this is not the time to do that. And so we couldn't make any arrests for now. But take that not to be a witness. Arrests will be made and people will be prosecuted. Of course, some makeshift camps, as I've already said, were also destroyed within the red zone. People decided to build buildings around to house their workers, and then they are doing mining in the river bodies or within all those structures were destroyed. So some of the things you see, they actually new structures people built along the water bodies, and they were doing that. But we observed a few things, as I've already said. Heavy mining equipment being used for illegal mining activities on the water and along the river bodies have been withdrawn to hideouts and nearby communities upon hearing of the military presence. And they come back in the night and mine again. Most of the locals do not know or appreciate the dangers associated with the irresponsible mining. And particularly a community called Chichiwere, I think, is that the name? Chichiwere, where the local chief tried to mobilize the youth against the military. You have 400 soldiers, and they are helping you to clean your river body. They didn't go to seize your house to sleep. If they did, I will not be against it. But they are trying to sleep in a secondary school. And you, the chief, insist that they have no right to sleep in that structure. They should leave your town. That the nation has sent its troops to go and do this exercise. And you think that the soldiers have no right to sleep in the classroom in your town because you claim you excavate, 2 of your excavators were bent on the river body? I think that people like this must be answerable to their communities and their people. That chief who took that action and asked and made the announcement that the youth should mobilize and go attack the 400 soldiers who were lying down there, what was he thinking he was doing? Sending them to their death, their graves. I just want to advise people that this is a national exercise. Our water bodies are being destroyed. In the next 5 years, if nothing is done to preserve these water bodies, people will not get water to drink. In fact, Ghana Water will not be able to manage and give you clean water. It is in your interest that these things are cleaned. Maybe 1 or 2 people may get some money because they are the people doing the mining. But the general public will suffer in the next 1 year if nothing is done. And it's in your interest to clean up these rivers for you to at least have good water. How can you explain to the kids who are giving birth today that this is the water you have bequeathed them to drink? What explanation are you going to give to them? When even countries outside are threatening us, what we sell today, they are threatening to ban those products. I think that we rather need their help, the help of the chiefs, the opinion leaders, the assemblymen, the youth. Because as the soldiers gave me a brief today, most of the young people in the villages are those who are assisting them and showing them where the equipments are. They are not happy about what is happening. They are devastated that their own towns that they have seen clean water is now turning into things like this. And I thank those people for at least ensuring that they protect their heritage. It is your land. You must protect it. Don't allow anybody for the sake of money to destroy them. I do know that some of the mining companies have decided to form gangs, and they are having gangs. Report, and the military will flash those gangs off you and take them off your land. But like I said, the allowable distance of 100 meters aside the rivers designated as a red zone are in most cases not operationally practical, as physical mining is done well over 100 meters along the river. Illegal miners are quick to move mining equipment beyond 100 meters into hideouts. There are also illegal mining sites that are not within the 100 meters from the river, but they lay long pipes into the river bodies. Huge, big pipes into the river. Suck the water, mine off, pour the contaminated water back into the river. So far, what the military has done is to destroy all those pipes. But I think that we need to take a decision about some of these activities. You can drill your borehole and mine. Nobody cares if you are mining a kilometer away. If you are irresponsible, small-scale mining or big mining. But don't come and take water from a river using these big holes and pour the contaminated water back into the river. It is dangerous, it is unethical, and it will kill people. But what is the impact, as we have seen, the assessment? The impact of this operation has been very substantial, as excavators and other mining equipment that were used to perpetuate the illegal mining activities within the red zone, that's the restricted areas to River Ofin and Pra, were destroyed. And when the Recce team went back, as Kojo said, to check on the River Pra, essentially champagnes and people have not returned. And we'll keep monitoring to see whether they return. But so far, all the area of operation that has happened, they have not yet returned, and we hope they will not return. The illegal miners obviously disregarded government directive to stop illegal mining and remove all equipment within the red zone of the rivers. Several Garanse pits along the rivers have been abandoned as a result of the military presence. This is a good sign of massive success, but surveillance will continue to be maintained to ensure the sanity of the areas that are cleared. The operation will continue until we are fully satisfied that the objectives of His Excellency the President has been achieved. The Ghana Armed Forces was tasked to conduct operations on the river bodies and 100 meters aside the river bodies and to flush out illegal miners. not just on only River Pra, but most of the major rivers you see in the endemic areas, it will happen. And as I said, the operation commenced on the 7th, at 07 hours on the Friday the 8th, and ended at 3 p.m. to allow the troops to be able to get out and go home on Sunday the 9th of May. Several mining equipment, as I said, were seized and destroyed. But as I always do, I will believe there are certain considerations that the military and those on operation will want the people of Ghana to consider and approve. It's through the Minister for Lands. I believe that it is essential that this operation should be sustained to prevent the return of illegal miners to the water bodies. The operation should be extended to all the tributaries of the major river bodies, because we have realized that River Pra, the tributaries are even more destroyed than the rivers itself. In fact, for the River Ofin, they don't have any tributary again. All of them are gone. The tributaries to the River Ofin itself. River Ofin is a tributary to River Pra, but the River Ofin also has tributaries. The small rivers that link to the river, they are gone, totally gone. They've destroyed virtually all of them. So we believe that we should extend all these operations to all those tributaries to flush out people. Further directives will be given to take for action to be taken on equipment that have been withdrawn by illegal miners from the mining sites. Whilst the military operations are ongoing, the key leaders must be engaged, and I believe that the minister is engaging them tomorrow. Is in Kumasi to do that. He will announce it, and he wants your support to continue to engage all of them, to engage the chiefs, and we're appealing to the chiefs and all the opinion leaders to do that. And then we may have to really look at the 100 meters allowable, because the law says that you cannot mine 100 meters. But if someone is mining 110 meters away and polluting the river, what do we do? The military are having some difficulty because they don't want to have anybody accusing them of moving beyond the 100 meters. So they are sticking to the 100 meters. But they've seen that people just mine and park the machines 150 meters away. You can see the machine. You can see it has just mined. That's mined 50 meters away. But what do you do? So these are some of the things that we are there. We are not capturing every prisoner. There are some prisoners who are outside our reach, not because we cannot capture them, but it is because that is the directive and that's what the law says, and we want to follow the law. So those who think that the law is not being followed, the law is being followed strictly. That it's 100 meters, and we are doing that as such. So, Minister, I want to thank the people of Ghana for listening to me. That is the brief for today. And like I said, 28 excavators were destroyed, 267 champagne machines were destroyed, 18 water pumping machines, 1 mill, 2 industrial machines, 18 gensets, 10 plastic chairs, 5 canoes, 1 wooden accommodation, 8 industrial batteries, and 1 platform. And then 21 new pumping machines and a Kia Bongo truck with registration number AS505321 also seized, as well as 2 guns. Pump action guns were also seized. We'll do some bit of work on some of them, and if there's a need to destroy it, we'll destroy it. If there's no need, and there's a need for prosecution, to be used for prosecution, that will be done. I thank you very much.
That update. Honourable Minister, while you resume your seat, I want to invite the Minister responsible for lands and natural resources, the Honourable Samuel Abu-Jenapo, who would also share with us some remarks. Briefly, however, let me share with you some reports that you yourself have carried out, which are linked to some of the matters that the Honourable Minister is just speaking about. Medical staff of the Sewum Health Center in the Aowin district in the Western North region are beginning to record a high number of newborn babies without vital body parts due to the activities of illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey, in those areas. According to the health center, pregnant women in the community are continuously losing newborn babies because the women are drinking water contaminated with chemicals used by the illegal miners. And there's a quotation from Gifty Ajwa Ajano, midwife in charge of the Sewum Health Center, who is giving an outline of newborn babies without noses, eyes, ears, mouth, etc. And it links directly to what the Honourable Minister has been speaking about and the reasons, among other things, for which His Excellency the President has authorized these operations by the Ghana Armed Forces. Honorable Minister, welcome from Kumasi.
Thank you very much, Minister for Information. Minister for Defense, Minister for Information, Chief of Defense Staff. Let me first of all begin by thanking the Ministry of Information and its exceptional Minister, the Honorable Kojo Ponkroma, for putting this together once again. These are very important engagements which we have with the media. Indeed, we have with the Ghanaian people through the media. Today, I have a few comments to make though. First of all is to say a big thank you to the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces for taking this step, and also the Minister for Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, and the Military High Command and the Ghana Armed Forces. I say this big thank you because what they are doing is so important. And I've made this point repeatedly, which is that the mandate of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources really is to formulate the policy framework. You can't mine in 100 meters. You can't do this. You can't prospect in forest reserves. You can't do that. But the enforcement continues to be the mandate or the responsibility of the national security architecture. And the kind of enforcement we are seeing today can only really be executed by the Ghana Armed Forces. So the complementary role that the Ghana Armed Forces is playing as a wing of the national security architecture is really refreshing for us at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and is highly welcomed. And so we thank them very much. The issue of red zones, I don't have to repeat it. We've explained what the red zones mean, water bodies, forest reserves. And I want to respectfully submit that these decisions were taken after careful interrogation and broad-based consultation arising from the National Consultation on Small-Scale Mining, consultations within the government itself, learning some lessons from the past effort we made, the contemporary issues, which resulted in this designation, which is that we need to categorize the levels of infringement, which is that red zones are really about the survival of the nation, the water bodies and the forest reserves. We have another set of strategy for the everyday illegalities in the mining industry. The people in Western region, when I thought was, they call Koluku or something. Kolukoli, the everyday galamsey here and there, shovel and that. We have a way of dealing with it. That we are getting Minerals Commission, regulation, community mining, in some cases, some sort of enforcement, and so on and so forth. But the red zones, which are the water bodies and the forest reserves, we are absolutely determined that those ones are no-go areas. Honorable Minister, there's been a big debate in the country about, I don't call banning of excavators. I don't use that word. I call it decommissioning or demobilizing of equipment which are used for illegal mining. The Ghana Armed Forces are engaged in the decommissioning and demobilizing of equipment which are used for illegalities in our country, and that is how I want to approach it. Now, well, the discourse is ongoing, but I will humbly suggest that perhaps we should also ask the question: what will an excavator be doing on River Pra? What will an excavator be doing on River Ofin, or a Shamfine be doing on River Pra? Ghanaians and all of us, I will respectfully submit that we should interrogate the issue from that point before we get to the stage of what has happened to that excavator, and that is it right or wrong to decommission that excavator. The issues of legal, proprietary, or otherwise about military action, those are very historic, and those are matters that I believe across the world there have been debates about it. How do you treat prisoners of war? Guantanamo Bay, do you try them before a military tribunal, civilian tribunal, and so on and so forth? Those are matters I don't want to get involved in. But the military have their own methods of enforcement. And as a country, I think it's important that we appreciate that. But in terms of the social debate, I will once again contend that we begin the debate from what will an excavator possibly be doing on a river body. And if as a people we're able to answer that question, that yes, an excavator can be there to construct a road or to do some sort of activity which is in the interest of the public or which is good and so on and so forth, then we can begin to make some efforts and begin to move forward on that. But if we come to the conclusion that an excavator ought not to be on the river body, and it's not as though we woke up one night, overnight, and said all excavators on river bodies be decommissioned. We never did so. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources issued a statement under my hand and gave a window of escape. Even that, some people criticized it. That why do you give a warning? But we thought that we should be sensitive, we should be humane. We gave 7 clear days for people to evacuate. And here we are. The instructions are being enforced. And as always, as it happens in our part of the world, you have people begin to raise issues here and there. I will very strongly but respectfully conclude by saying that it's either we are fighting this menace or we are not. It's either we are determined to clear our water bodies and forest reserves or we are not. We cannot waver in this matter. So the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and for that matter government, supports the Ghana Armed Forces in this patriotic work they are engaged in. Having said that, we've also observed that some, shall I say, rogue imposters are taking advantage of the atmosphere and the quest for enforcement to go around the country harassing small-scale entities, people who are involved in small-scale mining. I want to clarify that. What the military are engaged in is being codenamed or dubbed Operation Hall 2. And the Minister for Defense has been very clear about it. There's a lot of clarity on it. It's indicated, and we've all been on the same page from the very beginning to now, that relates to only the red zones, water bodies, forest reserves. In the case of water bodies, 100 meters away from the banks of any water body in our country. Forest reserves, we are clear about them. So that is the current ongoing operation. The military are not involved in any other operation. If there's going to be any other operation outside the Operation Hall 2, that will be sanctioned by the official authorities, either by myself, the Minister for Defense, or National Security, or whoever, or the government establishment. So I want to make it very clear that task forces which are moving about the country, harassing small-scale miners, whether they are involved in legal or illegal mining, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has not mandated the operation of any task forces. I believe that is very clear. The activities and or operation of Operation Vanguard has been suspended for the time being. Operation Vanguard is no more in operation as we speak. We had a meeting between myself, the Minister for National Security, the Minister for Interior, the Minister for Defense, and the Minister for Information. The conclusion, which is the committee that the President has put together to spearhead this effort, we came to the firm conclusion that the activities and or operations of Vanguard are to cease. All other task forces continue to remain disbanded. There are no such task forces anywhere. I am privy to the concerns of the Small Scale Miners Association, and I've had occasion to interact with their leadership, and I've made it abundantly clear to them that there are no such sanctioned security operations anywhere in respect of small-scale mining. And I want to repeat on this note that the government of President Akufo-Addo is not against mining. We are not against mining. We are not against small-scale mining. On the contrary, we are working to regulate, sanitize, and promote a viable, sustainable small-scale mining which has regard to the preservation of the environment of our country. I think these matters have to be made very clear, and we are moving into another phase because we've given the warnings, we've given the clarifications, and if moving forward it turns out that people continue to take the law into their hands and begin to move about the country, they will be made to face the full rigors of the law. RESEX, we've made that point already, I need to repeat it. The regional security councils across the country are responsible for the everyday security operations relating to mining. That has not changed. But every other operation is supposed to cease. So this is where we are. It's a tough battle, no two ways about it. But we are on it. And the fact is that this is really about Ghana. This is, if you examine this matter carefully, it cannot be about anything else other than our country. We are talking about water. We are talking about forest reserves. And so the resolve and the commitment required to realize the vision of the president in protecting our country, that commitment is total, is unflinching, and it's unwavering. And we will have no, and I believe that the Ghanaian people are beginning to see that this is a genuine effort, this is a very honest effort, to have no regard for political coloration or status in society, and we are determined to move full swing. Thankfully, tomorrow, by the grace of God, we are going to have the second national consultation on small-scale mining, and His Majesty the Asantehene has been gracious enough to open the event for us in Kumasi tomorrow to back our effort, which is huge moral clout, and I believe that will also help. But let me conclude by reassuring the President, his government, and the good people of this country that the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, working closely with the security agencies, the Ghana Armed Forces, the Minister for Defense, National Security, Interior, and my good friend, the Minister for Information, are totally committed to ensure that we sanitize this industry for the good of our country. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, grateful for your update. As you resume your seat, we're prepared to take some questions. We'll take 3 batches of questions, not more than 4 per batch. And Honorable Minister, I just want to share with you some information that quotes the President of the National House of Chiefs, Ojiaho Ojebi II. He has articulated publicly the fact that he also backs the decision by the government to burn all seized excavators by the military in the fight against mining in water bodies. Speaking to the media when the officials from the Forestry Commission called on him at Ahriaso, Ojiaho Ojebi, who is also Paramount Chief of Sehri, Ahriaso urged the military and the task force to go tough on persons who are mining in water bodies. And he goes on to say that the action is laudable despite the criticism against it. And he doesn't agree with the critics who are saying that excavators in water bodies should be seized for any subsequent conversations. So just some more information to share with you. If you have questions, please raise your hand. I would have the microphone directed to you. We'll take not more than 4 per, but I have one here. If there's only one question for the day, we are happy to take it. It will only mean that the issues are quite clear. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Ernest Mini from Journeys. I'll start off from the Land and Natural Resources Minister, talking about the harassment of small-scale miners. Indeed, we engaged them yesterday, and they mentioned that they feel betrayed because the engagement or the understanding they had with government was not to use the military to harass them. And they issued a 7-day ultimatum to rectify some of the issues they raised with us. You mentioned that you had met with them. Is this meeting in the wake of the concerns or earlier? If it's recent, we'd like to know how you agreed to resolve some of the issues that they raised.
And if I just may get some clarity.
Yeah.
So these small-scale miners, are they those who are mining in the water bodies, or these are the legitimate ones who have concessions? Just to be clear.
The legitimate ones. Those who say they have concessions, they are not mining in water bodies away from the 100-meter zone, and they claim they are being harassed. And so that is the first one. The second one is that because you say that some of the machines will be, earlier the defense minister I think mentioned that some of the machines will be kept for prosecution purposes. I'd want to know if any equipment has been kept for the purpose of prosecution. And on the issue linked to that is the issue of burning of excavators. For those who raise the propriety or otherwise of it, the argument is that you don't want to have the operation hit a snag legally, and you talk about going to court. And so the suggestion, for instance, from Kenashibe is that will government consider either amending the law or passing legislation to back this action so that in the future you don't have such challenges legally going forward. And so maybe the Lands Minister will want to take that.
Okay, thank you.
And the very final question, Mr. Oponkrumah. I'd want to know if the small-scale miners have actually written to you officially with respect to these matters that they raised, because they indicated they were going to do so.
All right, thank you. Are there any other takers? Yes, sir. That's TV3, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Godfred.
Please speak up, Godfred, so that we can
Godfred
hear you.
Columbia. During the last briefing, we were told that some 2 Chinese nationals were arrested, and then also 8 of them escaped. I want to find out whether there's any information about these 8 Chinese nationals who have escaped. And also, some arrests were made where some people were suspected to be national security operatives, and then the clarification came out that they were not. The question I want to ask is how easy, how difficult is it for somebody to impersonate, the national security, decide that he's a national security operative and then go to the extent of engaging in illegal mining? How easy is it for people to do that? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister of Defense, I want to ask a certain critical question. Now, from what you have seen describing the whole situation as very terrible and very devastating, would you advocate for suspension or ban of surface mining for the meantime until the situation improves? Because whatever you do, people will get their way out of it. They will just cut corners. You can't arrest the situation now. So would you advocate for complete banning of surface mining or suspension of surface mining in this country? Thank you.
Thank you. Final one for this batch. Let me deal with the national security impersonation question. The Ministry of Information, upon the instructions of the Ministry of National Security, issued that statement to clarify that those persons who were arrested by the youth, and I think we should commend the youth of the town, just as Mr. has been commending the youth of many other towns who are supporting the military effort, we should commend the youth of the town for objecting to what these persons were doing and for not kowtowing to the claims of these persons that they were national security operatives, and for arresting them. And the state security apparatus picked them up, and they have been charged before court. As for impersonation, you know, people can always get up and go to court and stand in front of a judge and claim they are lawyers, and actually they were lying. You know of instances where people will go to major hospitals dressed up as though they were doctors, and sometimes even parade around and operate for a number of years. So as for impersonation, I think we've had instances where people came here to ask questions and claiming they were journalists. And you couldn't even identify which media house they're coming from. But I think the important thing is that the state agencies picked up these persons on the queue of the youth of the town who we commend and assured that they have been charged before court. And even the individual who they claimed had contracted them to go there, who is the one who was a national security contractor, was also picked up on charges of abetment and is also being charged before court. And I think it shows clearly that there are no ifs, no buts, that there is total commitment to ensure that success is achieved in this enterprise. There's a question about the status of the Chinese persons and whether you would advocate for a total banning of surface mining as part of this enterprise. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. I think that the Minister for Lands will talk about the banning, but mining, both surface and underground, it's not illegal as far as I'm concerned, and the Minister will educate all of us on it. I just know that if you do surface mining, you post a bond and you're supposed to reclaim it. So it is about enforcing and making sure that you can reclaim the land properly, so-called. I don't think that I would say that people should ban surface mining. It's allowed in Ghana by law, but I will look at it just to do the right thing. So for the small-scale miners, and I believe that the minister will, as part of the second phase of his engagement, will begin to talk to them. And they should identify their concessions and reclaim all the land that they have degraded. All the pits they have left, they should cover it up. That is what I think they should be talking to the people of Ghana and talking to us. And I think that's what they should be doing to help us. I'm not aware that the soldiers have harassed any small-scale mining now who is doing legitimate business. In fact, The soldiers are operating within the 100 meters radius. If you are holding a license and you find yourself mining within the 100 meters radius, you are doing an illegal thing. The soldiers are supposed to destroy every equipment mining within the river body and the 100 meters radius. They are not going to ask whether you have a license or you don't have a license. It's as simple as that. Once you are caught within the red zone, it doesn't matter who you are. If you are the Minister for Defense, they will burn your equipment. They will destroy your equipment. So I want to plead with the small-scale miners that don't mine within the river bodies and 100 meters within to the river bodies, full stop. It will help all of us. But the soldiers, as I said, are very responsible people, commanded by commanders, some of them who have done 30 years, 35 years in the armed forces. And in fact, they have sinned and sinned again, hundreds of operations, whether outside Ghana and in Ghana. So they know exactly what they are doing. And like I said, they don't enjoy going to destroy an equipment worth $200,000 and over. No, not at all. In fact, if for something they will want to even help us construct our roads, help us do things, but we cannot as a state sit and allow our water bodies to remain the way they are, with over thousands of champagnes on River Pra and destroying the water bodies. Maybe you and me in Accra here may have voltic water to drink. Maybe the person who is leading the charge and doing that might not drink that water. He may have voltic water to drink. He may have all the other mineral, we call the mineral water, all the other purified water to drink. Even if he's living in there or he visits there, or he might never even visit there. But all we want to say is that the soldiers will not harass any small-scale miner who is mining outside the red zones. If you think that there's anybody going around claiming he's a soldier or a police harassing you, like the minister said, let us know. We will deal with that person. I can assure you that. Like the rest of it, the minister will deal with it. But like I said, for the Chinese, I never said that equipment will be kept, mining excavators will be kept for prosecution's sake. That's not what I said. I said that certain items, if the police deem it necessary for prosecution, those items will be kept. Otherwise, all items are supposed to be destroyed. That is what I have said. But if the police for some reason believe that an ID card is necessary for prosecution, they will ask us to keep that ID card for prosecution. Otherwise, all equipment are supposed to be destroyed. That is the order. And like he said, they are supposed to be made, the soldiers are told that make sure that that excavator never works again. It's as simple as that. Just make sure that that excavator is never able to go back to the field to work again forever and ever. And I think they are doing a very good job on that particular one. And the third phase, as I said, will continue. So people should pack off and leave. I mean, I cannot get it. You are being told continuously. In many countries, they won't tell you. But we are telling you continuously that there will be a third phase. And I don't know whether they don't believe us or they think that we are just bluffing, or they think there will be a third phase. And it will not be long. The third phase will be launched. And it's just within the river body and 100 meters from the river body. If you are found with an equipment within that zone, which is the red zone, you will not get your equipment back again. Whether the equipment is bent, whether it is destroyed, or whether a bomb is dropped on it, what I know is that you won't get back your equipment again. Thank you very much.
I think there's another part of it that people are not paying too much attention to. It appears people are worried about the destruction of excavators that are mining in water bodies. Please bear in mind that the armed air patrols have started. I think that that's even more dangerous. You may be worried about your excavator that is 2 million cedis or 3 million cedis. But the people's children, sons, nephews that you have asked to go and sit on your champagne, the armed patrols have started. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The Ernest of Joy News asked a question about excavators and the legalities or otherwise of how they are being dealt with. First of all, the Minerals and Mining, Minerals Operation Tracking of Earth Moving and Mining Equipment Regulations 2020, LI 2404, requires that all equipment used for mining should be registered with the Minerals Commission. And where the equipments are going to be used for mining must be designated and registered with the Minerals Commission. So, yeah, we would like to talk about the legalities of it, but this is also the law. The law requires you, LI 2404, requires that if you are going to use excavator for mining purposes, or chamfine or a shovel or anything, you should register it with the Minerals Commission. And the Minerals Commission ought to know where the particular equipment is going to be used for mining. That doesn't happen. So that's another bit of it. Now, if chamfines are seized, confiscated, and moved to the barracks of these, what are we going to chamfine for? What are you going to use chamfine for? And excavators, where we all know, honest, we should face it. We know that people who are engaged in this excavator business, before they work in the night, and then in the day they take some part of the excavator off. And when they take it off, you cannot operate the excavator. You can't move it. So to be able to move the excavator, you need a low bed. The cost of it, finding the low bed itself is another problem, and so on and so forth. And that's another matter. And then when the military leaves in the night, they come back and then they use the same, they put the part in, they use the same excavator to mine. Number 3, the red zones have been declared. It's not as though, I said it before, it's not as though we woke up one morning and suddenly we are being told that excavators are being decommissioned, demobilized across the country. Sufficient notice was given. You are not supposed to be you are not supposed to mine in the river bodies. You are not supposed to use excavators to mine. Notice was given that pack out. Nobody heeded to the notice. And here we are. When the military goes for operations and they go and meet IEDs and bombs on the floor and the rest, they are to pick them. I'm not being simplistic here, but they are to pick them, bring them back to the barracks, and then do what with it? The Ghana forces are not enforcing mining laws across the country. We have to appreciate that. There are particular places where the president of the country and the national security architecture deems red zones and have declared them as such. And these are places where nobody can have any reasonable excuse why an equipment should even be found at that place. So in other places you may say that, oh, I have an excavator, I'm mining, I reclaim the land, I vegetate, so why have they bent my excavator? But on water bodies, there is absolutely no excuse why you would take an excavator to go and mine there. So I will really passionately appeal to Ghanaians to support this effort, because the truth also is that if we don't have sufficient support from the Ghanaian people, whatever we are doing, we will struggle with it. And it includes the media. So these water bodies, before long, European Union is banning our cocoa, water has to be imported into Ghana. It will be the same. We are going to be the same people who are going to cry foul and say that government did not act. I fully support the current operation, and I think that it should be continued. The matter to do with small-scale miners, I've met the association many times. Even this week, I met the leadership of the association. Next week, I intend to sit down with the association. And the association, they continue to be partners of the ministry. Even before I appeared before the appointments committee, I met them and I made it clear to them that I'm not in the framework of having an adversarial relationship with them. My relationship with them is on the relationship of the ministry and the government with the Small Scale Miners Association ought not to be adversarial. We are supposed to be partners, and we are supposed to work together. And whatever I've been, I said it. And I said it to them that they have to help us to help them. Because if the small-scale mining enterprise is regularized and is sustainable, the country will support them. And it's not as though there is no small-scale mining industry elsewhere. There's a booming small-scale mining industry in Australia. There's one in Canada. There's one in America. There's one in South Africa. Across the world, there is viable small-scale mining industry. And I was pleasantly surprised to learn that the Minerals and Mining Act of 2006, Act 703, spells out copiously how small-scale mining ought to be done. And if you follow that, there will be no problem with small-scale mining. The cardinal missing link of this small-scale mining enterprise is 1, where they mine in water bodies or forest reserves, and 3, where they excavate and not reclaim the land. That's all. If you are engaged in small-scale mining, you excavate as deep as you can, and you fill the pit, and you plant trees, nobody will have a problem with you. But where they behave as, they move from one place to the other, you excavate here, you go deep, then you move to another place, you don't cover the pit. Old ladies then are going to farms and falling in pits and dying, and the communities are suffering. I flew from Kumasi today, all throughout the place. You try it. Everywhere, pits, all over. So the small-scale miners also have a responsibility. I am prepared to work with them. Next week, I intend to sit down with them. But they also have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to partner with governments and support government so that together we can create a viable, sustainable small-scale mining industry here in Ghana. But if they don't, and it's going to be threat upon threat and the rest, we are not going to waver. The water bodies will be protected. The forest reserves will be protected. So that is the response I will give to that. Surface mining. To ban surface mining will mean essentially to ban small-scale mining. Because there are two types of mining. There are alluvial mining and deep mining. And majority of the small-scale miners, the authorized ones, are involved in surface mining, the alluvial. So I am not in the mood of banning surface mining for the time being. I think that it's within our capacity to be able to regulate the small-scale mining itself. And to regulate it means just enforcing the laws. The laws are enough. Even last year, they passed a good number of laws, and there are sufficient laws in the system. What we require is for all of us to be sincere, honest, and committed to ensuring that the laws are preserved and enforced. So this is where we are.
To smelt?
Yes.
Okay.
And
the smelting doesn't leave carbon footprints?
Well, it would be greener than merely burning, wouldn't it?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Two more. Yes, sir. Then we'll take the last one.
I'm McLean Kofi, I write for Graphic. I just want to know whether I can easily say, or I can say the second phase of the operation was a success. If yes, what makes it so? And if no, what makes it so?
Very well. Bendigo, I'll give you the last word and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable. Good afternoon. From Abednego Asante, me Adjuma Wadom FM. Honorable, we colleague the issue back. We mean say our win issue no, our win in our win district. Health officials are more. I'm saying Korea warm for fraud. Yeah, be money ni ho, omasu ni ho, omanwa because of omonum so free galam say we communities no. Because we find us say about government attention na matia and amobe na mutu so that our people na ho no. Between bomb by from federal distractions and I say, and then apart from that, honorable need to so far my second phase away. Between my timeline, expect to say is sooner almost say any need betimati. I be who say at least 1 more year and I do some results after the operations, And apart from that, so honorable champagne excavators, omutimi enya gold and omunya gold from these miners and the volume obetimache the number and the volume of gold omusizi from these miners or bucho. And then another issue, mining law. Is there any plan somewhere amended so that to give legal backing some muchi amutimashi senior honorable jina pokano bemam legal backing say with me ashisa champagne.
Okay, Abednego. That's it. Minister.
Minister, thank you very much. Let me assure the people of Ghana that no innocent lives will be lost. I hope that your question is innocent lives, so I'll stick to that, innocent lives. But I can't guarantee whether lives will be lost or not. And that one, lives could be lost even from the military side, even from the civilian side. You can never tell. And lives could be lost if somebody attacks the military with a gun, for example. You can never tell. So that I can't guarantee. But what I can guarantee is that no innocent person's life will be lost. The military will continue to do what they have to do on the water bodies and 100 meters off it to ensure that all equipment seized are destroyed. But the military will not target innocent people, will not even target to take lives. But I can guarantee, because accidents happen, so I will not be able to guarantee that. Only God can guarantee that one. But we'll do everything humanly possible to ensure that what you are afraid of never happens. The minister will talk about the timelines for the water, because he has been working on it. Yes, it was a success because all floating chamfines, all floating platforms were destroyed on the river. That is between Chofopraso and the Boise, the junction of the two tributaries of the river, Oda and the one that continues. You know, the Ofin continues into even Ashanti, part of Ashanti region, or part of Western Ashanti. And then Oda goes this way. So they stopped at that tributary called the Boise. So between that junction, which I said is about 120 something kilometers, all floating platforms were destroyed. All equipment along the 100-meter stretch were destroyed. So I can say, yes, it was a success. And we'll continue to monitor. In various forms. On daily basis, the military and the security agencies are monitoring what is going on. So from the start to where they have reached, even on daily basis, they keep monitoring to see what is going on. That's why I kept saying that it's not in your interest to go back, because if you go back, you will called out, and we'll come back. And this time we'll come back by air. So I want to say that don't go there again. It's not necessary. Don't risk your life. Just don't go within the 100 meters so that the river can regenerate itself. But he will answer exactly how the river will regenerate and how things will be done. It's just that there are some other follow-up activities that we will do. Those chamfines that have been destroyed, they may have to be removed. The excavators that have been destroyed, they may have to be moved off. Maybe scrap dealers will get a lot of market, but whatever the case, we'll see how it will go. So, Minister, thank you. And secondly, at no point did we say, I don't know where you got that news from, that we allowed it. Secondly, I don't know where you got that information from, because I never at any point say that we allowed 8 Chinese to escape. Not on this platform. I said 1 Chinese was arrested at that time. Then in the forest, another Chinese was arrested and they are being processed. But at no point did we say that we allowed 8 Chinese to escape. I don't know where you got that information from, but we'll look at it, and we'll get in touch with you and know exactly where that information was gotten from, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.
So, Mr. Asante asked a question about the legal grounds on which excavators are decommissioned or demobilized. I think my own considered conclusion is that there is sufficient legal justification for the methods being employed by the military. I'm not the final arbiter when it comes to the interpretation of the law. So until somebody tests the law, my conclusion is that if you take the totality of the legal regime, there's absolutely ample legal justification for the course of action of the military. In any event, whenever the military intervene in a matter, you should know that it's an exceptional situation, and therefore it's not as though their actions cannot be questioned, but quite clearly the decommissioning of these excavators and other equipment, for my reasoned conclusion, justified under law. The matter to do with the restoration of the rivers is a major matter. It's a matter which caught the attention of the ministry very intensely, because the expert scientific conclusion is that even when you clear the river bodies, you still may never be able to restore the river body to its original state. And as the lady Kikeli quite rightly pointed out, mercury is a very poisonous, dangerous chemical. Cyanide is even worse. And the experts tell us that some of the particles can never settle unless you deploy measures or have a mechanism that will compel them to settle. And so the ministry has put together a committee, and the committee is working. There's institutional representation. The EPA is represented. The Water Resources Commission is represented. Other institutions have representation on that committee. The University of the Power Grant University of Mines and Technology is partnering with the ministry. As recently as last week, the Vice Chancellor led a delegation to make a presentation. But there are questions we are still asking, which is one of the most important questions, which is agitating my mind personally, is that if you are going to clear water bodies and you are going to deal with the chemicals, what sort of method is going to be employed? Are we going to use other chemicals as well? And if we are going to use other chemicals, what are the implications of using further chemicals? There is a suggestion that you can clear the water bodies through organic means. So it's still work that we are engaged in, and quite clearly we need to be able to come to grips with it. But I have to conclude by making the point and make it very forcefully that it doesn't matter what sort of methods you have to clear the water bodies. If the illegal mining continues to be on the water bodies, whatever methods you employ will come to naught. So yes, we are working on a formula and a strategy to be able to clear all the river bodies, but I am more particular about the sustainable strategy and tools which ought to be deployed to rid the red zones of illegal small-scale mining. And I believe that whilst we are working at it simultaneously, hopefully when we secure the river bodies, we will also have concluded on the solution which will work, and then we will move on with that as well. So thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Just a quick note of clarification before we wrap up. My brother and friend Jojo Rokio, being Western North Regional Minister, just sent us a message that he's also received these reports from AOIN, and initial checks that they are conducting suggest that that report is misleading. They invite the Health Directorate to come up with the actual specifics so that we can all be guided accordingly. So that's just a quick clarification of that news item that I shared with you earlier. The regional minister has taken notice of it. He's met the regional health directorate. He says the initial report he has is that it's misleading, and he's instructed the health directorate to get out the actual specifics so that we're all guided accordingly. Colleagues, I want to thank you for your time. During our presentation, the Deputy Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Mrikuduka, joined us. The Honorable Benito Ousubio, Deputy Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources, also joined us, and we're grateful to them. We're grateful to you all, especially for those of you who've carried us live this afternoon, including the Ghana News Agency's Facebook page and Ghana Television, so that the country is apprised of the efforts that are currently being made. The Vice Admiral Seth Amuama, Chief of Defense Staff, Air Vice Marshal Frank Hansen, Chief of Air Staff, Rear Admiral Issa Yakubu, Chief of the Naval Staff, Brigadier General Mahama Abdullahi, Director General Joint Operations, Brigadier General Michael Eisi Amoa, General Officer Commanding Southern Command, representing the Chief of the Army Staff, the Minister responsible for Defense, the Honorable Dominic Nitiwo, and the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Samuel Abujinapo. We're grateful to you all. God willing, we will reconvene sometime soon with some more updates. Thank you.
at Circle, and this is the level of noise I am greeted with, from preachers to traders to station masters, all contributing to noise making without considering the health implications of their acts. Health experts say exposure of excessive noise over a period of time affects human, plants and animals. One will ask, is it ignorance on the part of traders or negligence on the part of authorities? So who is to be blamed? In recent times, the issue of excessive noise making in public places has become a major source of concern, especially in urban centers. Loud music, tooting of car horns, loud noise from megaphones and PA systems have become the order of the day. One cannot even receive or place a call in certain areas because of too much noise in the background. One such place is the Nkrumah Circle in Accra. The noise here is deafening. This is a sample of daily ambience at the popular arena of Accra, the Kwame Nkrumah Interchange, formerly Kwame Nkrumah Circle. Sound from about 25 megaphones operating simultaneously was high-pitched beyond the acceptable decibel. Vehicles, drivers made touting, mobile phone operators, food vendors and retailers advertising their wares with bells and other devices create a cacophony of noise. Given the competition involved in trading at this location, those who want to make the most impact often use megaphones to advertise their wares and activities. When contacted, a station master at the Kwame Nkrumah Interchange confirmed that commercial vehicle operators speak into gadgets like megaphone to warn commuters or travelers. Lack of altruism or the desire to get money without considering the interest of others is what pertains here. The situation has dire implications for human health. Vendors of traditional medicine constitute another group of noise makers in the markets and other public places. The news crew spotted another group whose identity was not immediately known. They were also making noise through a public address system. We gathered that the group downloads trendy music for customers at a fee.
It's because of the customers, that's why. Sam is shouting here and he's playing.
But I'm a different customers. If I don't raise the volume of my speakers, customers would not know. I download trendy music. I am aware of the effects, but this is what I do to earn a living.
I spoke with some commuters and this is what they said.
Sometimes we are here, somebody can call you back several times, but because of the noise, unless you put the phone on vibration, you cannot know that your phone is belling or your phone is ringing. So we are facing a lot of problem because of the noise.
This place is too noisy and it is affecting us. There are too many megaphones here which confuse travelers. Something must be done about it.
The various stations here use megaphones to attract travelers, which affects us a lot. Sometimes when I'm home, it's difficult to hear what others are saying. They sometimes have to scream before I can hear. The AMA should do something about it.
We asked some traders if they were aware of how noise pollution affected their health. Some were quite knowledgeable about the health implications. Others are not worried at all about excessive noise or its harmful effects. They think it's just normal.
The place is noisy. Because of the machine, I can hardly hear sometimes.
I can hear, but others don't hear. I know the machine makes noise, but I can hear clearly. I'm aware of the effect though.
The Ghana Standards Authority says there are rules regarding noise making, and since ignorance of the law is no excuse, the authority would work with the police to deal with the culprits.
What the standard seeks to do is to control the noise. We cannot eliminate it totally, but then we can control it. And to control it, we have listed a couple of requirements